So this was paid, what, how much? But let's say exactly.
Okay. She had to put in the wrong RCA check. All right, perfect.
10 what?
Thanks, sir. All right. Is that good? All right. All right.
Shoot an email that no one responds back to.
Which one? It was already paid?
A lot of stuff I think is gonna already be marked as paid in here that,
It looks like Tri-City Times for $916 was paid. Check number 3426.
We haven't approved the bills payable, correct? In a couple
October.
meetings.
That was Harvest Festival,
Yeah.
so that could have been
Well, if
paid.
you look in our packet, the last check on our bank statement is $92,155.75 to RCI. So that's definitely factual, that we did indeed pay it already.
All right.
so maybe,
Well, I guess going back to the question, should we have paid it?
I think maybe you should, or someone should motion to approve bills payable.
Verifying.
Yeah, after the list is verified with what we received yesterday.
And I would work with currently LDC with that process as well.
It looks like the first line item to American Tree was also paid.
And again, we just got
Yeah.
the statement.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
Yep.
again, this is hodgepodgey. It's sadly unfair to us, right? And I'm going to make this statement pretty clear. If somebody is a treasurer, the minute they resign, they are to hand over the financials. You're no longer a signer on anything. So that goes through any board, not just the DDA, right? And you should be at least balancing everything and making a statement that everything, what has or has been done, that was not done. So just in case our interim treasurer or future treasurer, whatever we decide. So sadly, we're going in blind on this. We will get it fixed. So I guess someone can make a motion to verify all the bills payable, either paid or not paid. Verify the bills payable, whether they should have went towards the loan or not on certain items. I think that would be helpful as far as we're making the motion, so we can get this rectified.
Whose responsibility is it to verify at this point?
My 2 cents is right now, LDC balances our books, right? So I would have our treasurer, the one that is now approved, our interim, work with LDC. LDC would be a good guide on that. Verify what we have. That would be mine. And I'm sure Laura Tandy from the LDC will be more than happy to help us work through all that. All right. And I'm sure also Kim Keefe would be more than willing to help. She's been super helpful so far in trying to make a lot of this work. Again, because we did not have access to our checkbook to effectively work as we should. The village was kind enough to cut us a check to the DJ that we got to reimburse them because our hands were tied. So
Tracy did indicate to me last night as she was handing me that packet, that I'm the only remaining signer on the account. Because it was her and Michelle Breen. The three of us were on there, and I'm the only remaining one. So we need to add the appropriate people to the
It's in
account.
our agenda to add.
And
Yeah.
remove.
Yes.
yep, we're going to do that tonight.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions, or are we ready for a motion? I think there's a lot of questions now. But
There are a lot of questions. The hard part is again, the last time we made a motion on bills payable was when, October, September? And these items were paid after that date. When did we receive them? So again.
Okay. I would make a motion to pay the bills upon Krista reviewing them with whomever from the LDC to make sure that we are not double paying bills, and then get them paid because we owe people money, obviously, and it needs to be taken care of. And to review what we already did pay to RCA and make sure that that should not have been part of our loan. I mean, not that, I don't know if there's anything we can do about that at this point, but.
Right. So my direction that I got was to get copies of the bills and forward them over to our treasurer. That's what we did. So,
I'll support that motion.
all right, Holly made the initial motion. Paul, support. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay. All right, passes. Thank you all. All right, treasurer's report, profit and loss report for the LDC for 1 month ending back October 31st, 2022. And again, we just recently got these, correct?
So I know there's no treasurer's report because there hasn't been an acting treasurer, but I still just threw in everything I had
Right, and
from until October 31st
Right.
that LDC sent me.
And per Laura's comments, message was to move that to January. So I think we probably need a motion moving that to January.
Probably.
So if someone can make a motion to move the approval of the profit and loss reports through January, we're going to need that motion, I would say, on each of the next ones, the bank statement, just to make sure that we're doing all that.
I'll make a motion on the LDC's recommendation to move the profit and loss and the treasurer's reports to January.
I support that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. Director's report.
All
Our
right.
interim director's report, you've been busy.
I have been. It's been all good things though. The light posts are all installed. Something of note, one of our poles was not working when they plugged the outlet was not working when American Tree plugged the lights in. RCI, I cannot say enough good things about them. They came out, I texted Joe at, I don't know, in the evening later than I should have. And he had me a text by 7 o'clock the next morning that his guy had replaced the outlet. They were not being used correctly and moisture was getting in. So he asked me to let anyone who is plugging anything in know. So I spoke to DPW, American Tree, and Yard Services and alerted them to the situation and sent them the pictures RCI sent me of how to utilize those plugs correctly. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. So I guess we probably will be getting an invoice from them.
Also share that with us for future reference.
Yes. So they're expandable. And if you pull them out, like so the rubber is expanded, then they're waterproof. But if you plug stuff in while they're flush to the light post, then there's not the seal that there should be. But I'll send you the picture.
Yeah, it makes a bigger box.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I talked to Joe too, just how fast they get corroded. And he said, it's Van Dyke. Everything happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Another thing with the light poles, 3 of them did not have anything on them. I don't remember what day, was it Thursday? I got an email from Connie saying that 3 of the light poles had nothing on them, that they were supposed to have snowflakes. YSI said no, they didn't have brackets for those 3 poles to put snowflakes on. And it happened to be in front of two of those poles were in front of businesses that were doing things for Holiday, Shirt Hanger and State Farm. So Connie said it would be an extra $200 to rope light them. And I spoke with Andy and we told Connie to go ahead and put lights on them because it was, Holiday. And I followed up with YSI and they said that brackets were not ordered. So we're going to have to get brackets ordered and get the snowflakes hung, or
So
I mean, I guess at this point the lights are up, so we're good for this season, but
So I could tell you the last, and we went back and forth on this, the last one on Friday, November 18th, we were told there was basically, they checked 15 different stores. They couldn't find any brackets. They finally found brackets, but they had to order more, and they assured us they'd be back by Monday. And there's still 3 missing. So we're going to have to, I mean, according to this, Yard Services were ordering the brackets per the text I received. So we're going to have to reach out to them to find out where the rest of them are.
Yard Services did change out the snowflake in front of Mikey's that wasn't working too. So, I mean, it looked beautiful downtown. Holiday Parade was amazing. We had 32 entries. This says 30, but we ended up having a late entry, and then including the marching band, we had 32 in the parade, and then we had the choir before. I believe it was our biggest parade ever. It was 11 more entries than last year. I've heard all positive feedback, and downtown was busier than I've seen it since probably Heritage Festival. It was crazy downtown. Everyone was everywhere. It was just amazing to see. All the businesses that participated, it was, I mean, the kids everywhere, smiles. It was amazing. We paid the DJ with the help of the village. That was incredibly appreciated. The Historical Society. Oh, I do want to thank the Almont Police, Almont Fire, and the DPW. They were integral in the success of the parade, and all the sponsors and volunteers. But the police and fire and DPW, they just bent over backwards to make everything happen. And we definitely didn't give them as much notice as we have in years past because of, issues that were going on. So I really just appreciate all of their hard work. The Historical Society repairs, I called the painter, and the glass company, they're both on the books. Jim Wade asked that the window not be installed until after Christmas since they just did their window display. They were supposed to get it done the week of holiday, and I asked them to hold off because he didn't want that interfered with. So they're going to do that the week after Christmas. The not so fun stuff. I need to collect a list of emails for the business owners or contact information so that we can get things out quickly. It's 2022. I don't think that we should be prohibited by the inability to get information out quickly. If we have ideas that are maybe short on time, we shouldn't not do them because we have to mail things out. Also, it's expensive and unnecessary. There are legitimate reasons to mail things out, but most things can be emailed. And I do not, if there was one, I can't find it. I am going to compile a list of email addresses for the downtown businesses. I'm also going to compile a list of the businesses that are in the DDA district because I also cannot find one that is comprehensive and inclusive of the current businesses downtown, which is actually at the back of your packet. There's the Deck the Downtown thing. If any of you read over that and think of businesses that I missed, please let me know. I drove through several times and I've been trying to make sure that I did not leave anyone out, but if just in case before I pass them out, I would love input.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there is a business listing in the computer, and maybe you've walked through it. I did print it. We used it for holiday. It is lacking, right? It's missing.
Right.
As we were looking through a lot of contact information. So I'm not sure if that's the one you were utilizing or not, but it needs a severe update. I think only about a quarter of them had any kind of contact information.
I also would love to I know Trisha Feldman has created a Facebook group for business owners. I haven't spoke to her, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but even if we don't utilize that one, I would love if we had a Facebook group for business owners that they could discuss things, pass ideas along, etc. So in my contact sheet, I also was going to ask when I go around, would you be interested in this? Would you like an invite? When I ask for their email and contact information. I would like to ask that the DDA computer gets backed up to the village servers. Currently, there's no backup, and that should not be.
So let's do that because we have that
I
as
have a
new
motion for
business.
that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to start a Google Drive for all of us that we can access with monthly folders that contain the agenda, invoices, bank statements, any pertinent information. If you guys want to let me know your feedback on that. Information, we already went over that. I think that's about it, except I really would like to start. I know this is overly ambitious for right now, but I would love to start seeing something monthly downtown. Doesn't have to be big things, but something going on to generate excitement and keep our, town lively. Even if it's just little things. Especially in months that there isn't a lot of activity. So that's on my radar of things to get ideas from. Like I said, next year with Holiday, I would love to shut down, I hope that we can shut down Van Dyke for a little bit longer so we can navigate downtown better. But if we can't, I would love to shut down East and West St. Clair from like Branch to Maine and Bristol to Maine and have there was like an ugly sweater cornhole tournament that Trisha passed along that was so cute. That would be fun on one side with the fire pits. And then I got so many ideas from Romeo's Winterfest. They had ice sculptures and all sorts of stuff that I think would just be fun in the road in West St. Clair, and just things to get people downtown that maybe normally wouldn't come. I've also been given the contact information for Romeo's DDA director, and I think we could coordinate some things with them. The other thing I was thinking is if we moved the start of the parade to the high school instead of Centennial, all the parade participants would park there, which would give more parking downtown, create a longer parade route to spread people out a little bit more, and give us a longer straight line to line up in, because Centennial's kind of a nightmare now. With 20 floats, it was probably fine. With 31, it was insane. So just an idea for next year.
So with that, I think, when we're doing these type of events, no different than Heritage Fest, we probably should develop committees for
Absolutely.
those to go over there, because the stuff that you're saying is I've heard that same feedback from a lot of the participants and other even people in the crowd. So I think what we should do is and I'm just going to throw that out there. She put kind of a calendar events together for the DDA. Angeloni knows what she knows, like list out what we're doing, list out when it is and when we should start planning. But I think what we should do going into next year is get committees for that, especially, with Trisha asking to make it a bigger event. I think people are kind of on board with that. Then we have a committee to that and work through it and do it more than just November 15th, right?
Oh.
So
2 more things. Sorry. I really want to thank the village employees. Kim Kiesler has been a godsend. So have Lisa and Pam and our village manager. They have just welcomed me with open arms and helped me with everything I've needed. And DPW has just been incredible. And as far as the parade is concerned, Melissa Schneider came in at the last second and was an absolute lifesaver with lineup, because as much as I thought I had mentally prepared myself to be able to do something I had never done before, it would not have went off like that without her. She came in and she took control and she just did it like a pro. So I am incredibly thankful for that. She did. She was like, okay, this is what needs to be done. This is what we're going to do. It was amazing.
Best part is after she's done, she's like, all right, we're good. I'm out.
Yep,
It was like,
yep.
she left. I was like, oh, okay. It's like
Oh,
she showed up to be like a little Christmas elf and just,
She did. She
Yeah.
showed up out of nowhere and then disappeared. I will talk about this real quick then. This yearly planner, so not only will it be helpful for all of us, but also onboarding new board members. If you can just write down anything, the first sheet, anything you remember doing in certain months, like in July, this is in your bylaws, but in July, you elect officers. When you do the director's evaluation, when you start, so the first one is just for like the business end of things. When you start looking at contracts for snow removal, when you start looking at lawn, like just the business end. The second one is events. What events are when and when you usually start planning. Not that we necessarily have to follow that, but at least it gives us a starting point of what you remember. Nothing, no like homework, just like, I think we started here, and then we can go from there. That's it.
thank you. Any questions for director's report?
I don't have a question. Well, I have a question. How many hours did we approve Angela to work
Somewhere between 10 and 15
per week or per
week.
week?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I just say I know you have worked far more than this?
100%.
The problem is my
I
brain is
know-
always running.
Right, and I
So-
get that, and I know you're super passionate about our town, which is wonderful, but I just want to say please bill us for the hours you actually work, because I know you're passionate and I know you're going to put in more work than you're going to bill, but make sure you're being fair to yourself as well, please.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Don't be afraid to actually bill what you're actually working. That's all I'm going to say, because I know you've worked a ton, because we have texted each other at 7 in the morning about stuff for holiday parades. So, I know you're working.
I got one this morning at 4:44.
Well, thank you for waiting till 7 to text me.
Usually I type it out and wait to send it. I did not do that.
I thought my wife was the only crazy person that got up before 5. All right. Well, thank you for that report. All right. So let's move to new business. All right. The first one, remove signer from the account. So now that our treasurer has resigned and finally given over all the financials, we need a motion to remove Tracy as account signer at the bank.
I'll make a motion to remove Tracy as a signer.
Second.
All right. Holly made the motion. Krista seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. We now need to add a signer to the account, so I'm going to need a motion. We last meeting agreed to make Krista our interim treasurer for now. So I need a motion to add her.
I'll make the motion to add Krista as a signer on our account.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right, Chris, just so you know, you cannot vote on this one. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So
And abstained is Krista.
Tracy at our last meeting had mentioned that she thought that Michelle was still a signer on our account. So I would like to make a motion to remove Michelle Bream as a signer on our account if she is still a signer.
She is, according
Okay.
to Tracy.
Then I would like to make
She
the
is.
motion to remove Michelle Bream as a
All right.
signer on the account.
Paul made a motion to remove Michelle Breen if she's still on the account. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody? Nay? All right. Thank you for bringing that up.
And
Right.
what we've done in the past is what had happened in what we've been doing in the present, what had in the past would be 3 potential signers. So maybe we should have one other person
Can-
as a signer. just in case.
We can make a motion on that.
I'm just, suggesting that we do that.
Yep.
So that we can function properly.
Right. Who else wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to add a signer. Do we need to pick one now?
Pick one now, yeah.
Anyone want to volunteer? I know you can't, Andy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any
Legally
financial,
cannot.
any financial professional, banker or financial advisor cannot be on the bank accounts at all, especially if they work for that bank.
I think it would make sense if you're okay, Christy, as
Yeah.
the vice chair to be the signer. Yes? Okay. I'll make a motion for Christy to be added as a third signer for safety precautions.
Support.
All right. So Holly made the motion. Paul Randazzo supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you for thinking ahead on all that.
Yes.
Appreciate it. All right. Steve, your favorite one. I think you've sent 10 emails on this one. We got an email or really a letter that was reminded by email for the DDA to pass the capture of tax dollars or Steve, do you want to explain exactly what it was?
Yeah, it was a law enforcement millage that I think 87% goes to the sheriff's department and 13% goes to the prosecutor's office. And there was obviously a big push to get that passed, and it did pass quite successfully. New roads, forget it. That didn't pass. And so it would be beneficial to law enforcement all around if that capture was waived. So all of the law enforcement millage funds went to the sheriff's department and the prosecutor's office. And and there was an explanation from John Miller, county prosecutor, explaining all of that. And I certainly recommend that we do waive it. We have waived various other captures in the past, seniors, library, things of that sort.
So my opinion is we should always look carefully at any TIF money that we can get, because that's where our money comes from. But I think this case in particular, maybe more than any of the others, the law enforcement is a big benefit to our businesses in the DDA zone. You know, me in particular, I know that I am happy to have police presence around and know that they're going to come if I call them. So I would be happy to make a motion to waive capturing the law enforcement millage from the DDA.
Support that.
Who did the support? All right. Paul made the motion. Steve supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you. So back to item D, village server, which actually Angela brought up earlier. So currently, our none of our anything is backed up, which is a huge no-no. That's a technical term, by the way. No. So none of our stuff is backed up. None of our emails have been backed up. So back when I took over the emails and we recovered, I don't know how many thousands of deleted emails that occurred in 14 days. That was it. Anything after that is gone. Right. So in our first meetings, Angela brought up the fact that this needs to be fixed. So the motion would be to basically add us to the village servers. We would have our own drive on the server. So it's not like we're not sharing that space with them. It's our own login, everything, but our items will be packed up, right? The other thing is too, she can create shared drives. She can create Google Drives. It's all going to go back to there. Our emails can filter back to there and now be saved, right? So I think it's a great idea. It really should have been done. I don't know why it was never done, but and when Angela questioned it, Kim did bring us that attention that it hasn't been going that way. So if we can get a motion to make that work, we can get this done ASAP.
I would make a motion to absolutely utilize the village server for our DDA computer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That one passes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Angela, for looking into that. Like, it's
Absolutely.
really important that everything is saved so it can be reflected back upon if need be. So, thank you.
Before we move past that, I have a question regarding technology. Do we need to make a motion to approve whatever to get a new computer so that Angela can be more productive and not waste her time waiting on a computer?
Yeah,
Because I've heard from you and from her now that that is the slowest computer in the world.
I think it can be fixed. Maybe we need to find, it's got good specs on it. I looked at
Well,
it.
the
It's got a good processor and RAM, and I don't know why it doesn't work good.
because it weighs as much as a bus.
And you can't use it if it's not plugged in because it dies instantly.
How old is the computer?
It
It's
has
a- it's-
Word
wasn't approved.
2010 on it,
Purchase, but I
and
don't-
it hasn't been updated.
Right.
So,
So I just
in
went
Excel
through
2010.
ordering a new laptop, a good, according to my IT guy, laptop happened to be on sale for about $700. It's not like laptops are that expensive in the grand scheme of things anymore.
Yeah.
I would say it is 100%, in my opinion, worth it to have a efficient, updated, reliable computer.
Yeah,
Need a motion.
yeah, and I don't even know if it's right, the right version of Windows. I know when I was working it, maybe it's been fixed, but even Outlook, there was an issue with even downloading half the folders. I mean, it's
No, it's not.
a
fixed.
clunky mess, right? And if it might be, I think it's the time to turn over a new leaf and welcome 2022. So
Can I do that now then?
yeah, you might, just to be safe, maybe go a little bit higher, not to exceed a certain
Yeah.
amount.
I would love to make a motion for the DDA to purchase a new computer for our director's use, not to exceed $1,000. That is what I ended up spending on mine, so.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Holly made the motion, Christy seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then here's the good part too, now we're on the server, she could work with that IT person and make sure that we're,
Start it fresh, do
Yeah.
it right.
all right, thank you. All right, moving, so a couple things. Looking at our financials, the way we've had our financials run and obviously the past hiccups and some other things that we're, verifying right now. So we've got a couple options in place and there was, the information has been shared in here. So we can do it status quo, like so how it's been doing where the treasurer has been paying the bills, sending all the financial data to the LDC. LDC reviews it, sends it back to the treasurer. Treasurer then brings the reports and everything back to the board and does the approvals, right? We pay $4,000 a year to the LDC to make that happen. All right. The other option is to add on where the LDC can pay our bills for a while. It is not ideal status and that's something they want to do long term. They offered it. That was also in the packet. That fee would be $500 extra per month. But there are some complexities. We got to add them as a signer. We got to get them online access. It does make it streamlined and clunky at the same time. Okay. The final option would be to move all of our financials and bills payable actually to the village. We've had conversations with the village that they're more than willing to take over that. Confirm there would be no charge for that. Correct,
Well,
David?
I did speak with Kim Kiesler today as I was making copies for the packet, and she said that there will be wage charges
Okay.
at the beginning because they looked at the format that that the previous treasurer was using and the format that they use, and all of that stuff would have to be entered manually because there's no easy way to convert it. But she said, given the limited amount of things we have, she couldn't even give me a number because she said it would just be the time it took the person to enter it in for startup.
We're
So
looking at a big figure. So
no.
right now we use QuickBooks, right? And for accounting purposes, the village uses, do you know the name? BSA. Okay. BSA is a lot more intricate. It's tracked a lot better. QuickBooks can be changed after the fact if you had to, right? So this is going to have a lot more layers of compliance and complexity to it, which we've not had. So there would be a small upfront charge, but after that, on a continual basis, we would not have a charge to it.
Correct.
We would still need to work through the ins and outs of how we bring the payables back to the board to everything. The treasurer would still be involved. We still have to have a treasurer, so they would still be there for an oversight, right? But it would grant us a lot more oversight that we have not really had.
And it fits in with that whole theme that I believe we're trying to develop right now in terms of working in coordination, cooperation with the village. So it brings us closer together, I think.
It does. And here's the other thing too, is as I've just recently learned, and David can verify this, the only thing going to King is our auditors. Has from the DDA has been a summary balance sheet. They haven't seen any of our bank statements or any other financials in the years. How that has occurred is, I don't know.
So didn't we switch to QuickBooks at the LDC's request so they could have some sort of oversight?
I'd have to go back and I don't recall that.
I'm wondering if we switch our financials to the BSA, if the LDC will have trouble, because doesn't the LDC do an audit every year or something?
So if we move to the LDC, we don't need them anymore.
We don't need them at
No.
all.
No, all the auditing, all the oversight, all the transparency, all the compliance will be handled now with the village
Sounds
and their
great.
standards and our auditor who hasn't seen much of anything.
Okay, well, that sounds very good to me.
Yeah.
If the village is able to do all of that.
Correct. It's going to be clunky at first, loading everything in there. We got to work through a formal process of, again, how do we bring it back with Krista to get it to the board for the approvals. But talking with Kim, there's already some ideas to really make that relatively smooth.
My only concern we have is had a conversation with Clerk Kiesler to confirm when's a good timeline to implement such system. If I had my brothers shoot from the hip without their input, I would rather have that transition occur at the year end. Yeah. So about 6 months from now. I'm not sure how quickly Clerk Kiesler has said that she could help facilitate the transition from where you folks are today to, let's say, January 1. Could it happen that quick? Maybe we could. Again, I'm just, if it was just my decision, I would say I would prefer to do it at year end.
Fiscal year end.
Fiscal
year end. Yeah. Of course, DDA can't. Well,
Some of the questions that have arisen over the last few months about bank balances and bank statements, et cetera, I'd rather have a clean break at the end of the fiscal year. But that's just my own druthers. If it's possible, after further discussion with Kim, to learn that we could help transition, let's say at the beginning of the calendar year, I don't have a problem with that. She's the one who oversees that. She's the expert on that. And I'm willing to yield to her opinion if she says she can make it happen January 1 or some other date.
I guess we should confer with her as to that. Of course, we can wait another 6 months.
No, I think,
Yeah.
so what we could do is make a motion to keep status quo right now where the treasurer is handling the bills as we work through moving everything over to the village with a timeline of no later than end of fiscal year.
Biggest convenience.
Yeah.
Really.
2023.
I will say that when I initially talked to Kim about it, I asked if end of calendar, that I said that we were shooting for January 1st. And she said that she wanted to investigate a little further. So I'll speak to her again and see what her timeline is. Just, I don't want to rush them either, but the quicker we get it, if that's the direction of the board, the better, I think.
Let us know how that conversation goes. And I can certainly say that Kim Kiesler absolutely, positively knows what she's doing. She is the best government official I've ever worked with in 27 years. And
She's
serving
incredible.
Almont government. She's really good. If she says she can handle it, she can handle it.
Yeah.
If she says no, then she has a good reason.
And to point out, Imlay City runs theirs this way as well. So the way we're looking to do this is it's normal across the board. Yeah. All right. So we're going to need a motion to start that process.
Ironically, Keesler came from Imlay City.
I know.
to here, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But they're still keeping that process, going, right?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So if somebody can make a motion to make all that occur.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Just because I just want to know how it works. So, and I know we don't know how it will work, but the bills would still come to us. We would still approve the bills. The bills would still be paid out of our accounts. We wouldn't be reimbursing the village from their accounts or anything like that.
So the village would be paying it out of their accounts. We would potentially just cut them a check for the whole month.
Okay.
I believe it would be like they invoice us now,
Okay.
except it would be one invoice with line items.
Correct.
Is what I believe. So currently, most of our bills are invoices from the village anyways.
Yeah.
And also all of the bills come here. So I think they
Mhm.
would just give us a line item and an invoice and we would approve the invoice, I believe.
Just curious.
Which is
Interesting.
also going to be
That
a
seems
lot less.
more streamlined.
Yes,
It
it's going
seems
to
a
be
lot
so
easier for
streamlined. And it
us.
all
Yeah.
comes here anyway.
Way
So
easier for
instead
us
of them
and
putting it in
not
someone
really
else's
more work for
mailbox
them.
and then giving
Right.
it to someone else and then
Mhm.
someone
And then
else.
giving it back and
Right.
Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
I can tell you, talking with the LDC, they are actually the ones that even push this. So they're losing money on this, pushing, saying, you guys probably should do it this way in the event that you don't want to do it yourself, right? They seem to champion this idea. And they told me that this idea was presented a while back as well. So they're very much supportive of it, So I would think for them to lose revenue to support us doing this makes a big sense. We still, and I did talk to Sam, and I did invite him to make sure he comes to a meeting next year. There is still a need probably to keep them on at a much lower rate, right? Or a la carte. But I think they do offer some services. They're working with the builder that's in the industrial park right now with a lot of complexity. So those are things that they can kind of help us with. So it's something to, again, keep on our radar.
I would make a motion to allow the village to take on our financials with request that it be as soon as possible, but by no later than end of fiscal year.
Support that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I did talk to Laura Tandy, and can she get the contact number from King & King just to kind of go over, again, the out of balance situation? She wants to talk about what LDC passed to us that made it or didn't make it to them. Can you share that with her? Okay. All right. We're at a point we definitely need to do some checking. All right. F, trash receptacle grant pursuit.
All right. I am a huge proponent of grant funding. I feel like it's just money sitting out there that we need to ask for. And if we don't ask, then the answer is no, right? So one of my closest friends worked for a nonprofit for the last, I don't know, couple decades. And her job was writing grants, so she is helping me out. I have found a couple of grants that don't open until one opens in January and one opens in April for solid waste management. Those are through bigger foundations. One of them is a USDA grant for solid waste management. If you have side-by-side recycling receptacles. And then obviously we have Four County Community Foundation and Lapeer County Community Foundation that I would like to write a proposal for. Our trash bins are in very rough shape. And now that the light posts are black, it doesn't make sense to paint the trash cans that we have, but we need new ones, or we need, something. So I would like to pursue that option if that is the direction the board wants to take, or if I don't even know if I need to ask to apply for grants, but that's what I would like to do.
By motion.
Yeah, that's applying for a grant as a motion because you're putting us on the hook for
So would you like me to wait until I go to, like, till I write it out and go to submit it to ask for approval?
it. Well, I would,
That's the norm. but-
that's
Yes,
the norm.
okay.
So let me just throw something out there. So I was picking up the fire pit Monday and had a great conversation with a couple DPW guys. And they basically let us know, and I don't know when this occurred. They said a few years back, maybe 3 years ago, before I was on the board, that I guess our trash bins had lids and they got rusty and they got cut off because potentially people could get cut, right? But they also let me know because when we cut the lids off, the bags fill up with water anytime it rains. So what they have to do is slit the bags, drain the bags, and makes a huge mess. And this is something that they've said that needs to get corrected. So we are in severe need of trash receptacles. The DPW said we definitely we need them badly. So whatever the protocol is, either telling her to go forward, or at least get all the details first. We don't really need a motion until we know which grant we're going after. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the motion is to be specific as to. which
Correct.
grant.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
If we go for the side-by-side ones, is the DPW able to collect and dispose of the recyclable side?
That's something that I have on my list to follow up with Brian on, because that was a question that I had too. Where are we even able to dispose of that?
Yeah.
Right. But that sounds good if they look nice and, and the DPW is able to accommodate that.
Absolutely.
So I would say that one needs a little bit more fact finding, and then come back to which receptacles were used, DPW approval, and which grant we're going to go with.
Perfect. So if I'm going to apply for multiple ones, can we do that all at once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just be specific, like Steve said.
Amazing.
All right, let's move to G, fountain maintenance.
DPW has informed me, I believe they've already talked to you guys about the cover. It's very bad, and it's dangerous. It's not efficient, and it's gonna end up costing us more money in the long run because it's not protecting the fountain like it should. Also, Brian told me that when the winter maintenance was being done, he was told there's a crack in the fountain, and that could be why the water bill is so high. So that's going to need to get looked at before we turn it back on after the winter. And we really need to look into getting a new cover or some other way to keep it covered in the winter.
So Myron from Landscape Direct will handle the part of the fountain with cracked or all that. I did talk to Brian. He has an idea for the fountain. So right now, the way the fountain cover works is they just slap some more wood at it, but it's extremely heavy, and they have to either use a high-low or a dozer to move it. His suggestion is getting some hoops welded, and basically just shrink wrapping it like a boat. And then every few years, if we got to get it shrink wrapped, we can. But what his suggestion is that way he doesn't have to use equipment to get it moved. They could just throw it on the back of a truck, move it out, and it's less impactful for them.
And for us, because
yeah.
if we get charged equipment and
Yes.
wages.
Correct. So it'd be in the long run cheaper. So I don't know if we need to make a motion to, look into it not to exceed a certain amount, or do we still need to explore some of this? The one we have right now is going to work through the end of the year. We do have some time, but
I'd like to see some ideas on it. I think of shrink wrap kind of blowing apart and everything, and maybe that's just, sometimes I have to see things in place. So I'd like to see some ideas.
okay.
And prices with the ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we need to investigate further.
All right. So
But I agree,
get
the one
quotes
that's there, the metal's
or
kind of
ideas.
hanging off on parts. I worry about people cutting themselves on it.
Me too.
yeah, and that was an idea Brian had. I know shrink wrap for boats is extremely strong stuff, but we can definitely explore different ideas for sure.
On that same idea, it could be done maybe like an awning by an awning company that would wrap it. Same concept.
Could be.
Different material might look nicer too.
Could be.
But that's a good suggestion, I think.
So I think, go ahead.
If we wanted to get really creative, we could make it look
Almont-ish.
almost
Almonte.
equally as pretty as the fountain. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be ugly just because it's closed, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
We have
Get a
that
wrap.
space, we should utilize it.
get a wrap for it, something like that. Not a bad idea. So I think at this point in time, we don't have enough information. So put that on the radar.
But can we also make note to contact, I think you said it was Landscape Direct, to get it on their schedule to address our fountain issues as soon as they can in the spring?
Yeah. Myron does. When I spoke with him about getting everything closed, he already has dates set up, but I'll have you reach out to him to confirm all that. He's a good guy to work with. He was very responsive. All right, next one, December activities, holiday parade. I think we talked quite a bit about that. I'm not sure if we need to talk more about it. I've heard nothing but great things. There was drone video.
So that's what I was gonna say.
So somebody I haven't seen in a while popped in and said, "Hey, I'm starting a drone video company. If you don't mind me doing it for free, if I can put it on my site, I'll give it to you." I'm like, "Sure, free sounds good." So he did a drone video that has been shared to YouTube. So I suggest everybody watch it. I think it's great. It's just more way to promote the greatness of what's going on downtown.
After Angela put it on our YouTube, I shared it to our Facebook tonight as well.
Perfect.
So,
And I have the 4K video footage, which was taking a really long time to upload on that computer. And it never did. It's, as far as I know, it still hasn't. So as soon as I get that footage, I'll share it to our YouTube too, because it is like, I mean, it's like it's so clean. It's amazing.
Fantastic.
So there's a link on the Almont DDA page right now to it.
there is, I did it
Excellent.
probably at 6:00, I would
had
say
a,
tonight.
had a
so
customer
yeah.
today that I was telling about it, and I said,
Yes.
I don't know, it'll be somewhere, and
Yes.
I'll
Yep.
tell you where it is. So
Yep.
thank you.
And let me just throw this out there. And again, this is future planning probably for the committee, but business owner and some other people brought up how great Yarborough and all the businesses decorated this year, or has been decorating. Okay. The thought process was, what if we did that all downtown and somehow developed a holiday light facade grant, maybe for the initial install and then maybe an annual amount. I know it's a cost, but I mean, that's something we could talk through. So as we keep this on the radar and talk about committees, think through that idea. Any way to propel this forward, get more people downtown, I think would be great.
Drive down to Rochester.
Just
Correct.
for the lights.
All lit up.
Correct.
And it's a real attraction, pulls people in.
Yes.
It is very visually enticing.
When I
So it
posted,
sounds like a heck of an idea.
when I posted the pictures of everyone's lights lit up at night downtown, a lot of people commented, why don't all the businesses do that? And I wanted to say, well, it's a really great expense, but I didn't. And so that's kind of where the idea came from. And I kind of threw that. I asked Andy, I said, can we subsidize this somehow? So I would really like if we could think about that after the first of the year. Obviously, we have a lot of other more important things to deal with today. But yeah.
Christy, can you share a recollection of about how much it costs? Like just a broad number to some bearing. Yeah, for something, I know you guys do 3-4 buildings. And
This year,
that
which
was to have them put it up
less than last year
because they had to put the cable.
So, and I did get some cost also from DPT. They were $1,800 because of the new cables. I think it goes down to $1,300, $1,400 going into next year. Sorry.
So
But she said the company that did that, which is the same company you did say they'd offer us a discount, a volume discount if we're going to do more of it. So yeah. So there's some potential there to maybe save some money. So again, I think it's a great idea. And I did hear about it. I saw it on the Facebook page. You brought it up, but I had a couple other businesses going, I think this would be a great idea. I had one reach out. Hey, how do we get on the light program? I'm like, we don't have a light program yet. So,
French
but-
drain fans were installed today too.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Back of the napkin in my head, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 to do downtown, do you think? Just extrapolating those numbers.
well, and I'm not saying possibly.
Right, and I think it would need to be, I don't know, this is far reaching, but it would need to be, I think we should only subsidize the cost. I don't think we should absorb the entire cost.
Right.
I think that's a lot of money, and they need to be willing, to put forth some effort as well, in my opinion. And I think that would, because, it doesn't have to be everyone, but
Right.
everyone who wants to and can participate, like, let's help them out, is my thought.
Could be as simple as, we'll offset 500 the initial install and 300 every year, whatever that magic number is. Yeah, we can't go into debt for it, but no, I think it's good future conversation. So, all right, deck the downtown.
All right. Well, this was started late this year, obviously, because I haven't been around that long. But this was kind of the same premise of the facade grant, except I'm not giving them money. I'm just giving them an ornament if they win. But I will be taking the ballots as long as everyone thinks that the list is pretty comprehensive to businesses where people, my idea was businesses that people frequent, or I don't want to say frequent, businesses that people have to come into to vote instead of letting them vote online. So they actually have to go visit the businesses to vote. And then the winner will get bragging rights and a 2022 winner ornament. Next year, I'll start it much earlier if I'm here.
I love it.
We have a line. Did we have a line item for cost for that?
I don't know, but I don't know that it's gonna.
Be all that expensive.
She can make it up.
I'm gonna make the ornament.
She can make it.
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna use
Do
Paul's
they get
seltzer.
cookies too?
Yeah.
All right.
so Randazzo's would be donating the ornament.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure,
And
because
I
if there's cost, we gotta make
Found
sure.
out today that we pay a yearly. Kim Kiesler told me we pay a yearly fee for the copier. And we don't pay by copy. We pay for the year. So
So the number doesn't matter.
correct.
Oh. Kim let us know it was by, I thought we had a login and it was done by every copy we did.
So I asked about the login. When I was making copies, I was like, I don't want to print all of these packets because and I don't have a login. So I asked her, 'cause she was helping me. I said, are we going to keep track of the pages? And she's like, no, you pay a yearly fee. And then we charge you for reams of paper.
Okay. I think, again, I don't think we need a motion, but I would love to get our arms around what more we could partner with the village on
Absolutely.
and get a better understanding of truly how to make all this better.
I only know what I know, and I can tell they have been, absolutely incredible. They have bent over backwards for anything I've needed. They've all taken time out of their days and what they've had to get done to help me, and I can't speak highly enough. And I think the more we collaborate, the far our reach will be. We're all here for the same purpose. It doesn't make sense to not work together.
And the more that we can keep DDA money back in the village
Correct.
is
Back
only
where it
going to help all
belongs.
of us.
Absolutely.
Why should we pay third-party vendors to do any of the stuff if the village is able to do it and we can shuffle the money
willing.
back there?
Correct.
So that just helps all of us, I think.
Sounds like a good conversation for the spring, Paul. I would agree 100%. So yeah, we don't really need a motion, but I would work in, I'll champion that. Kim has been fantastic in the time that I was kind of doing it on my own before you got involved. I mean, there was never anything that even David reach out, give me a hand, show me the way. So even and Brian too, so we don't need a motion. She could just do her fact checking. Citizen participation for meetings. Can you expound a little bit more on that? I know that was a late ad, right? And I'm sure everybody, I don't know.
This came from me, obviously.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead, Steve.
Angela was wanting to put a structure in how meetings will run, and I think she was motivated in large part by last night's council meeting, which was a whole lot of fun. And so that it was properly structured. So what this is the protocol for village meetings and structuring them in terms of who can speak when. Generally, there's a 3-minute time limit. It is for commentary only. It's not really interrogation time back and forth between the village. I did step outside that boundary last night because I felt it was important enough to. But you can keep control of meetings in this fashion. I was amazed at watching Bruce Townships, watching videos of their meetings, and I was amazed because it's a large, rather wealthy community, and they had no control whatsoever. They just went on and just they ripped each other up, and they got nothing done. So this has been in place for about 3 years, maybe a little bit longer, and it's very helpful because it does keep the meetings under control. So the public gets to comment on regular agenda items first, so that we have some input from the public before we discuss and vote on any particular issues on our agenda. And there is a 3-minute time limit. The president, in this case, the chairperson, if you believe it's necessary or appropriate, can grant a little more time. And then we go through a regular meeting, and then it's public comment time again for any non-regular agenda issue. And that way you get a lot of input, but it's carefully structured, and it's really worked quite well. And in large part, it was geared towards me because somebody get up there and I can just come back at them, and that left a lot less structure and wasn't particularly helpful. And there's been following this protocol, it's been much better structured, and council's been much more productive this way. So it was, since Angela reached out as to this, well, at least I can put this on the table, and if DDA board likes it, you can adopt it, or you can modify it or say, we want to do something different.
Well, and to go again, being cohesive more so with the village, right? I would agree. I mean, a couple things that I'm looking at this is replace anywhere that says council to DDA board. And the area, a speaker representing a subdivision, association, or other group body allowed 10 minutes. Maybe the 10 minutes should be allowed for business owners in the DDA. You know what I mean? So 3 minutes for people that aren't involved with that, and 10 for the other would be my suggestions. I mean, let everybody else make theirs, but just that way we don't have to wait for it to come back. Somebody makes a motion to utilize this template, update it. That way we can have it in place for next meeting.
And just so you know how we do it, this citizen participation is on the backside of the council's agenda. So, well, people show up frequently to council and grab the agenda, and this is on the backside of it. And so it tells everybody in the audience and the public what the structure is. So they're not supposed to swear and various things like that. So behave properly.
Will also say, so I'm on the school board, and we have very similar rules. The one thing that, I mean, is addressed here, but that we added to our agenda is directly after public comments, we have on our agenda board questions and comments. So after the public, which is referenced here in village officials and employees may speak after the public participation is over in explanation or rebuttal, we've put that on our agenda. So there'll be audience questions and comments. We all just say, nod our head, say thank you. They sit down. Now audience time is over, so there's no back and forth. And now if we feel like there's something we needed to give more information on, we can speak under the board questions and comments. And that really just protects the authority of the meetings. Then you're not going back and forth, you're not wasting time, but you also get to say what you need to say because it's your meeting, it's not the audience's.
Well, my only response to that, it sounds fine, except that if you're having comments from the public as to agenda items first, then whatever input came in from the public during that public comment time as to agenda items is addressed by council as
During
we address each of those issues. And so the public is only supposed to comment on agenda items the first time around. And so then council members can address whatever might have been brought up by a public speaker when it comes up on the agenda.
You only have currently one public comment. So if that might need to be changed if we want to do agenda and non-agenda items.
In the reason that we did it that way is experience had taught us that having input from the public initially prior to going through a regular agenda and maybe perhaps taking into account whatever the public commentary was, we go through all those items. And then frequently, well, at times we have somebody from the public come forward with, I have a problem at my house, which is not something that was ever on the agenda. Example, a citizen had an especially large trailer.
I was there for that one.
Yeah, for that whole thing. Well, that wasn't on our agenda, but it was brought forward, and our village manager took care of that one. But it's something kind of off topic that we weren't planning on addressing that evening, but it came up, and then we have a chance to address it if we think it appropriate. So this structure worked really well, and so this obviously is different than what the school board has in that it's not, public comment is not divided up, and in this case it is. With council it is.
So what if we made in the first part, agenda, public comment on agenda item, just like the village does, and then after old business before adjourn, public comment on non-agenda item. That'll help solve that. So, well, we're going to need a motion, right? We're going to need a motion to approve this with the updates, right? Along with
How long do
updating.
you think it would be
Go ahead.
before we got our Google Drive up and running? Because this could be a perfect thing to workshop in Google Drive.
Right.
Is that something that's,
I mean,
have no
I
idea the
can
difficulty of that.
create a Google Drive instantly, but I want to wait until we're on the server to do anything that should be backed up, which is really anything.
So this here, I mean, I'm sure Kim Kiesler has, so we could probably just get it, make the updates. It should be pretty easy. Yeah. So I don't think that's something we need to wait on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
So the motion's going to be, can we do a single motion for making the updates to here and the updates to our agenda going forward? Or is the agenda got to be a separate motion?
I don't think the agenda even needs a motion.
Well,
does it?
we talked about
It's just how
making
it's
public
done.
comment on agenda item and then adding public comment, non-agenda item at the
I
end.
think you can add anything to your agenda you want. It's your agenda.
So we don't need it. Okay. Then we just need a motion on adopting this format for our meetings going forward. So,
I would make a motion to adopt the citizen participation whatever. And update it for our proper verbiage and update, as Andy had said, in section 7.04A, take out subdivision, association, or other group and put business owner.
I'll support that.
All right. Holly made the motion. Christie supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, perfect. Thank you. And then if you could, for the agendas, can we get that public comment, not public comment? One other thing I would suggest that we add, and again, it happens at the village level, is board member, I don't know what you guys call it at the end, where you guys kind of go around.
Yeah, council and village administration commentary.
Yeah.
And go around the horn. You should start with David and then Kim and just go around council. And it does prove a value. Actually, Kim Shaw saw us doing that and she kind of liked the idea and she started doing it. And it's of value, things that weren't covered in the meeting. Some important things get brought up and thrown out there, and it can't hurt. It kind of fills in and gives you a little better feeling for what's going on in the town, something that wasn't part of the meeting, like when the dumpsters going to be taken care of, the ones out here. Some small items in there, but it ties everything together community-wise. So
If
fun to
everybody,
be value.
if everybody feels that value, is that something we can add? Okay. Can we get that added to the agenda as well? Fantastic.
And you can, my take is you can structure the agenda in any way that you wish. So I don't think you need motions. Either the executive director or chairman, I mean, working together can set up the agenda as you think is going to work best. And you don't really need a motion to do that.
No, I'm not looking for a motion. I just kind of want to get everybody's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
I did not watch last night's video and I was told don't waste my time, but I haven't heard, again, I'm a bully and a dictator, so I want to make sure everybody's voice is heard. I don't still hate pregnant ladies, do I? No?
No,
Okay, good.
no.
So I just want to make sure everybody's voice is heard and their agreement with that, because everybody here does have a voice, so.
I like it. I agree with it. Let's
Cool.
do it.
Make it happen. All right. On to old business. Wow, we're making it through this. Light post installation. You want to handle that? Or you want me to handle it?
Most of this I wasn't here for, so I know that they're all installed.
Okay. Yeah. The jobs, basically the job is complete. There are still some hanging things out there with brackets. We did get mixture of Frosty globes. Those have all been fixed between Frosty and Clear. Hopefully everybody loves them. I still don't think we got a final bill for the cutout on fixing that pole in front of State Farm yet. But Joe did not tell me it was going to be over our initial 4,500. So as far as I know, I don't think we kind of crossed that path unless I missed it.
As he was hoping or expecting,
Yeah, if you take a look and drive by, they did have to move it down here because they were able to catch actually the piece of conduit over. Is it in there?
So this
Did I miss
bill
it?
we do have from RCI, the 34,800 cost to install new pole in base in front of State Farm, 4,000.
Okay.
I thought that was.
All
in
right.
there.
So it's
They
state.
went under what
Yeah.
they quoted.
Okay,
So.
perfect. I was gonna say, Joe said he'd tell me if it went over and if we needed to do the extra, anything over above that, so I never did. So,
No, I already mentioned it, but they're incredible.
yeah, they have been overly helpful. I still have all the light poles behind my office. That is the next to
Yeah.
do to make those go away. We've just been tied up with other stuff. So that is going to be a priority coming up before the snow hits. But just great. Anyway. Old business downtown Halloween spooky time. That was old business on there. I think that was a success. I think we touched on that before, didn't we? And maybe we have. Yeah, again, that's gonna be something, radar on the radar 3 months before, going through that mantra. C, Small Business Saturday. Again, I think we touched upon that. I haven't heard how successful. That was the day after Thanksgiving. I was out of town. I've kind of heard. I thought it was pretty good.
Good.
I was
Yours was
gonna
good?
say, Paul, could
Yeah.
you fill us in as
Yeah.
one of the 2 retailers in town?
Yeah.
How was it for you guys?
It was good. We had pretty good traffic. I think Shirt Hanger said it was one of their biggest also, so they were really pleased with how it went too. So it was good.
So in the shop small giveaway is still ongoing. It goes through December 24th. I have collected donations from Paul. I did purchase some things from Trisha. Christy is going to give me things. Michelle from State Farm was going to give me some things. We were supposed to hook up at the holiday parade, and I don't think we did. So that is still ongoing, and I will post the actual basket once I get it all together. On a side note, if anyone has any suggestions of things to add to the basket, I am at about a little over a third of my budget. So there is still money to be spent because of Paul's extremely generous donation to the basket. So, and he insisted that he did not want us to purchase anything from his store. So, yeah, I'm in need of suggestions.
I have no suggestions for that, but I had a couple ideas for Small Business Saturday next year. I think I shouldn't speak for them, but I think that restaurants in town would be willing to kind of do like a 10% off if you show us a receipt from a local business. And I think that the retail places in town would be willing to do the same thing. Like, you get a percentage off if you show us a receipt from a restaurant in town.
That'd be awesome in collaboration.
I think that would be really helpful. And I also was talking to Christy about this a couple weeks before Small Business Saturday, and then stuff got crazy. But there are businesses in town that aren't retail. And I think if we did some kind of like road rally scavenger hunt, like go into an insurance place, and it doesn't even have to be get a quote, but get a magnet or an information sheet with what they offer. Like, we could have something that's one item per category, whatever, that's tailored to businesses that aren't retail to get people in the door.
Like that idea.
I like that idea. Yeah. No, all great ideas.
Write it down and remember.
Yeah, put it down. Anything else for Small Business Saturday? Thank you. Final snow plowing contract for the CBD sidewalks. That's been signed and delivered, correct? There has been a little bit more back and forth on where the snow's getting piled and all that. I know. Did we go back and forth finally with Yard Services, or is the answer DPW is gonna? What was the final on that?
Final is that they signed a contract saying that they would haul away their snow, and DPW has to do their job as well. So if snow ends up on the sidewalks, I mean, that's just part of the weather. And as unfortunate as it is, without one person doing all of it, one person's snow is gonna get into another person's area. So I don't think there's a solution to the concerns that they expressed, but they said that they would haul their snow away in the contract. So I mean, that's
Who's expressing concern? YSI.
yes.
It's going back to the snow falls from the sky, goes on the road, gets pushed here, goes back forth. I mean, again, that in the middle of signing the contract, that was again concerns brought up and working with the DPW and who's on first with that. But I would agree with that. I mean, if you agree to do the contract for the sidewalks, that's part of it.
My understanding was that the contract was signed with Yard Services, and that because there had been discussion with DPW from our executive director, and the village was under the impression that it was going to be DPW. And then we spent $90,000 doing some snow removal machine. And then the contract was signed instead of with Yard Services. And the village goes, what the heck? It's like, and you know, just that breakdown in communication was unfortunate. But I wasn't present at that meeting, but my understanding was it was the snow removal contract was signed with Yard Services.
It was, but it was the same concerns drug up
Yeah,
from before. I'm just saying that occurred in that office. And I think if we go back and say, if it's on the sidewalk, it's your problem. That's what you signed for.
yeah.
I mean, there's instructions of where to pile things. It's all laid out. So,
And it's something that'll be with us forever. Yeah, the only solution be it won't snow because the way we're structured is where do you pile it, and it's always going to be a problem for pedestrians, whatever.
And we're on M53, which makes it an even more intricate problem. And YSI signed the contract. I told them that I would try to facilitate a solution if there was one. And I spoke at length with DPW, and you know, they explained the intricacies of the situation, and they're really, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's precipitation and it's water, and I mean, it's gonna, you can't really separate whose water is whose, so
right.
it's just gonna have to be something we work through.
Right. So if it's on the sidewalk, it's the contractor. And they can haul it away or shovel it or whatever they need to do. So if not, we can explore other ideas, but I think that's the answer.
Heated sidewalks.
I love it.
Boy, we're worried about spending money on Christmas lights. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it to that. Should we adjourn, or do you want to go around real quick like we were talking about? You got to go? Okay. All right. Why don't we make a motion to adjourn the meeting, and we'll start those other ideas
So
at the
moved.
next one.
So moved.
All right. It is
8:49.
8:49.
8:50 now. Motion to adjourn at 8:50.
8:50. Wow, that's a record. Thank you all. Great meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a good meeting. It saved time.